I finally updated my cinema rig around the Canon R5C with a motorized follow focus system. First I got the SmallRig Mini follow focus, but then SmallRig had a photo competition on Instagram and Facebook and I sent in my rig photo, and with that I won their MagicFIZ follow focus system. And I can already say it really changed how I use cinema lenses with this camera, and here are my 5 tips. Tip number 1, get the focus handle, or at least think about it one more time. As I said, I had the mini follow focus first, and to be honest, I could never really figure out a comfortable way to hold the camera and pull focus. I think most people who use these regular wheels either use the camera on a tripod or have some kind of body support rig. But if you're using it handheld, it is so much easier with a focus handle. Tip number 2, mount the lens in the front. I've noticed that pulling focus with this focus motor on that lens can introduce quite some jitter in the footage. And the reason is that those cinema lenses are pretty heavy and they also need an RF to EF adapter. So it's not so stable in the front if it's just hanging on the lens mount. So the Mikey lens that I'm using here comes with a support screw, but screwing down the lens to the rig makes everything really inflexible. So what I'm using instead is the SmallRig LWS lens support that works with the matte box. And with that, everything is very stable and there's no jitter when you're pulling focus. Tip number 3, balance the rig well. Since you have your hands where the wheel is, you have no other options to support the rig anymore. I used to have my hand under the camera, but this is not possible anymore. So now it's really important that you have a good weight distribution in the camera. And I think the best way to do this is by putting the battery on the back of the rig. And I'm also powering all the components of the rig through this battery. For example, the monitor, I have no additional weight here behind the monitor. And with that you can see that it's balanced pretty well, and it's really comfortable to hold like that. There's no weight on the front that would pull the camera down. Tip number 4, power the focus motor directly. And I'm not talking about this battery adapter that they have here. I'm talking about a USB-C connection, and the reason is that the USB-C port that they have on the handle is at a pretty uncomfortable position. I'm always afraid to break this if the USB-C cable was here. So what I'm using instead is a D-tap to USB-C adapter from Alvin's cables. And the reason why I'm using that instead of the SmallRig cable that is almost identical is that Alvin's cables can make you custom cables with exactly the lengths that you want. And I really don't like when there's extra cable somewhere. So I've sent them my specifications and everything fits really nicely here. And tip number 5, make the focus handle compatible with the dummy battery. Since I'm powering everything with this one battery, I was really hoping that I could use an LPE6 dummy battery with the handle, but then I found out that the flap here doesn't leave any space for the cable to come out. So I drilled a hole myself and used a file to make the necessary space. And with that, I can use this dummy battery here. And as I said, everything's powered with one battery. Really nice. Those were my 5 tips for the MagicFIZ follow focus system. Let me know in the comments what you think of that. I hope that video was helpful for you, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.